Follow along on this bedroom session with one of my absolute favorite models, Tatum. You're gonna love what we do here. This video is sponsored by the new DXO PureRAW 5. I have to be really transparent about this session. This was one of the last of 3 days of recording videos. And when I saw Tatum in this outfit and knew this like all white room that we were shooting in, I decided, you know what? I'm erasing the schedule and I'm going to make this shoot just about myself. So this is a great shoot that shows what I do when it's what I want to photograph, not necessarily pleasing my clients. And one of the things that you'll notice is I'm photographing with the R5. Transparently, this was before the Mark II came out. But the other thing you'll notice that's really different is I am shooting with all prime lenses. Now, I love that Canon R5 20-70, but for this session, when I have time, when I have control, and it's about me and the images that I want to take, not necessarily about photographing all the things on my client's list, I actually decided to not use the R5 20-70, and instead I used the prime lenses, the RF 50mm 1.2 and the RF 85mm 1.2. This combination of lenses, especially in the smaller room, now I love the 135, but this room is too small for it. So I really photographed with both the 85 and the 50mm, and it just is an absolutely incredible result. Like super crisp, super clean, everything that I want from portrait images. As technology advances, we're always looking for ways to push the boundaries, and the new DXO PureRAW 5 really does exactly that. Now, I know we have photos of Tatum here, and I'm going to edit with those, but I want to show you first the power that this program has. Now, of course, you can use it as a plugin for Lightroom, which you see I am doing here. It is really the ultimate solution for raw image quality. You have local adjustments, just expanded performance, but look what it does to the noise. I'm going to get right down to the practicality of it. This software supercharges what your camera is already doing. Look how well this software pulls out the details and gets rid of the noise, both the noise in like dust or pixelation here, but also in the color noise, which is really difficult to get rid of and still maintain a good image quality. DXO PureRAW 5 does exactly that, and I was shooting these photos actually just a couple of days ago in low lighting where I was at 5000 ISO, 3200 ISO, and yeah, my camera does an amazing job in low light, but you still have the evidence of noise here, and that's what the DXO PureRAW 5 takes care of for you. I'm going to tell you more about this program later, but let's jump into a little more shooting, and then I'm going to show you how I use it to edit these photos here with Tatum. And of course, make sure you grab the link below. Probably got a special deal going on there for you, so you can take a look at the new DXO PureRAW 5 on your time. Now, for the most part, I was photographing in natural light. So I'm just looking for spots where light is coming in interesting ways, like the way that the light was reflecting off of this disco ball. And I used it as foreground, as background, played around with different ways that I could focus and different things that I would do when I wouldn't really be working for a client. So I just try to think a little bit outside of the box. Now, when I'm looking for light, I am hoping that I get some light in her eyes, but I don't always get that. I tried shooting through this mirror, for example, and shooting through the mirror, I really liked the positioning, the framing, but the light wasn't really going in her eyes as much. So I ended up popping on my ProPhoto A10 flash, and I bounce flashed, and you can even see me holding my hand here. Like I bounced flashed that light off of the wall to go back into Tatum's face. And I did it ever so slightly, like just this little kiss of light so that I had some light direction. And then you'll see later when I edit that, you know, I do bump that up and cheat it really a little bit because I didn't want to set up lights. It was something that was just going to hinder my creativity at the time. So mostly natural light, but then when I found I needed a kiss of light, I popped on my flash and just used it in a very soft, subtle, and natural looking way. I tried a couple of things like photographing in another mirror, in another angle. You know, the mirror was kind of dirty. but I left it that way and I used it almost like as a filter that I was shooting through, and it just created a lot of moody imagery and looks. And you know, I'm a sucker for getting up close in people's faces, and of course Tatum is no exception. I loved just some really fun portraits of her. Sometimes we just need to do shoots as photographers that are good for us. So let's get into editing some of these photos of Tatum, and of course I'm going to talk to you all about today's sponsor, DXO PureRAW 5. So these photos here with Tatum, I'm not shooting working at high ISOs. So I really don't need the new DXO PureRAW 5 to work on the noise aspect. However, this software also pulls out a lot of detail from the raw image that you wouldn't get if you were just throwing it into Lightroom. So for these photos right here, especially this first one, you're going to see how so much more detail is pulled out. Her eyelashes are more crisp, and then it's doing lens adjustments. It understands the camera and the lens combination that I'm photographing with, and then it's going to process the raw file for that specifically. I'm not sure if you know this, but excuse me if you already do, but every single one of the softwares that we use to translate the raw file and for us to be able to see the image, they all do it differently. So DXO PureRAW 5 is doing it its own way, and it's also enhancing the image by you having total control over how much detail it pulls out, how much noise, and you're just seeing the difference here when I pull these back into Lightroom. And I love the fact that either I can process and preview these, or if I know exactly what settings I want, I can just create a preset for that and automatically process my images, so I don't even have to really look in here and fine tune it. Because once you know exactly how much of the program of the software that you want and want to pull these numbers, you're probably going to do things relatively the same. So you can just save a preset, run your images through here, and then it's going to pump out a DNG file that of course you can pull into Lightroom. You could export it right there or take a look at it in Finder, and you're just getting DXO PureRAW 5's translation of the raw image, and it's giving you stellar image quality. And then on top of it, once we come in here, like you can see I'm doing with Tatum's photos, I still have all of the capability of a regular raw file. I am able to pull back the highlights in the same way I'm able to pull back the highlights in the regular raw file that Lightroom would have read. So you still have all of that leeway that we love about raw files, even after you throw them through DXO PureRAW 5 and get the DNG file back. Now this is the third generation of DXO's original neural network powered raw processing engine. 4 years ago, DxO pioneered the use of this machine learning to perform denoising and demosaicing simultaneously. It does use the potential of AI and far exceeding man-made algorithms. So today, Deep Prime 3 incorporates a third process, residual chromatic shifts at a pixel level. So all of that to say, we're getting a significant boost in image quality while also saving time because Deep Prime 3 is faster than ever. There's a brand new interface here, so it's really easy to use. There's really no learning curve whatsoever. And of course, you can fine tune what you're doing here in the software with absolute precision. Ultimately, these DXO modules give Pure 5 the power to push your gear even further. Like I said, my cameras are awesome when it comes to handling low light and noise, but there's always more that we can do on the back end, and DXO PureRAW 5 helps us do exactly that and get as much out of the image as AI machinely possible. Give this program a try. There is a link below. I think you're going to really enjoy it, especially for those times when we're photographing at really high ISOs. It can be an absolute lifesaver.